Hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. A few months ago, I had done a video on creating ebooks using LibreOffice and Sigil. The link to that video is in the description below and also on the screen. One of the viewers requested for a follow-up video showing how to create a clickable book index inside Sigil. So in this video, I will demonstrate how we can create an index with clickable links inside Sigil. Sigil, by the way, is an open source and free ebook editor, and you may see my earlier video to download, install, and use it. For demonstration purposes, in this video, I'm using an EPUB eBook, Alice in Wonderland, which can be freely downloaded from Project Gutenberg, as seen on the screen, or you can use your own EPUB ebook to follow along. Let's start. So for this video, I will be using a copy of Alice in Wonderland from Project Gutenberg, and I have downloaded this file, EPUB3. There are other versions as well. Of course, if you are using your own file, you can work with that file as well. So I've downloaded this file, the EPUB3 version, and you can see it inside my folder. So let me just open this in an EPUB reader. So as you can see, this book does not have an index, and that is what we are going to create in Sigil. I'm using Sumatra PDF to open this file, and this is a free and open source software that can not only open PDF, but it can open a number of other formats, including EPUB, MOBI, and so on and so forth. This is completely free, and if you want, you can download it. It's a very lightweight and good software to have on your computer. So let's go ahead and create an index for this ebook in Sigil. So I'm trying to open this book in Sigil, and I'm being told that something needs to be fixed up. It can be done automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and click on yes, and this ebook then opens up inside Sigil. So as you can see, these are different chapter files inside this ebook. It does not have an index. So you can create an index in Sigil quite easily by going to Tools and then clicking on Index and then opening up the index editor. So let's do that. And when we do this, you will see an empty box and you can add an entry. So if you want to add an index word, just click on this add entry. So you will notice here two columns. One is text to include and the other is index entries. And both these columns have different purposes. So if you just hover over these titles here, you will get some help. So any word that you want to include in your index, you can just come and type here. Just double click here and enter CAT, for example. So whenever you type a word under the text to include column, what you are saying is go look for this word in my entire ebook, all these chapters, and then create clickable references for this word in the index. Now it's important to note that whatever you type here, this is case sensitive. So you are telling Sigil to just take cat, all small letters, and then go search across your ebook and then make a reference to all the places where cat is occurring inside your ebook in the index. This column here is how you would like this particular word to actually appear in the index. So in this particular case, if you leave it blank, the index will just show CAT, small c, small a, small t. But if you enter a word here like CAT, the index will show capital CAT, even though it has searched for small cat. If you don't type anything and leave this blank, whatever you have typed in here will appear on your index page. Let's try to see this. And I'm going to come here and click on Save and Close. And you can create an index entry just simply by coming to Tools, Index, and then go ahead and click on Create Index. So when you do this, you will see that an index page is added here. So it has created an index and added cat to that index. That's the only word that we have currently provided. And these are all the places where cat is occurring in this book. Notice that it's written as small cat. But if we wanted this to appear as capital CAT, so we could come to Tools and we could go to Index and open the index editor once again. And in this particular case, we can type in CAT and save and close, and we can recreate this index. Go to index and then just simply go ahead and create index. It's asking me if I want to overwrite this file. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and you will see that a new index has been created. And this time around, because I had entered capital CAT in the index entries field, that is now appearing in the index. And then we can just go ahead and keep adding additional terms, and we can come here and add mouse. The order in which you are entering terms is not really very important, because whenever the index will be created, it will be alphabetically sorted. So you can see here that I have entered mouse. It's going to go ahead and search for mouse now. And remember that it'll ignore anything that is starting with a small m, M-O-U-S-C. So it's going to look for only words that start with a capital M and ignore any mouse words which are starting with a small m. And we can fix that, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So we can save this and close, and then come back here, tools, index, and then recreate this index and say yes. So we now have a new index, and all the places where we have the word mouse starting with a capital M, they are listed here. When you click on it, it's just going to take you to that particular page. Now, just to make your life a little bit easier, you can actually have this index toolbar, and so you don't have to then keep opening this menu. Just go to view, go to toolbars, and then make sure that the index toolbar is checked. So you will see this toolbar right here, and this is the icon for index editor, and you can click this to generate a new index file, the same as we were doing from here. So this is a little convenience that you can actually use. Let's head back to our index editor once again, and we are going to fix this now. So what you can do here is that under the text to include column, you can change this search pattern, and we can type square bracket, capital M, small m, and then just close this with another square bracket. So what we are now saying is that we want to include all mouse words across this ebook that are starting with a capital M or starting with a small m. So by introducing this little pattern, and this is called as reg x or regular expression, and you can use any regular expression here in this field under text to include. But by including this pattern, you are now saying pick up both words, mouse starting with a capital M and mouse also starting with a small m. So all instances of mouse, whether they are capital M or small m, will be picked up across this particular book. Let's save it and close it. You will see that the entry for mouse here is having 24 occurrences. Let us recreate this index once again. So I'm going to click on this and then go ahead and click on yes. So you will now see that there are quite a few more entries for mouse, because it is not only including the word mouse with a capital M, but also counting occurrences of words which are starting with a small m. And when you click on this, it's going to take you to that page wherever this word is actually occurring. So we can keep going like this. Open the index editor either by clicking on this icon or going to tools, index, and index editor, and then keep adding words. So not only you can add words by typing, you can also add words to the index editor by selecting. Let's have a quick look at that, even though I find selection a little bit cumbersome. So if you wish to add a word by selection, just come and click on a particular word. So when you click on this word, you should see that word inside this code window. Then you can just come here and select it, and then just use this icon to add this selected word to the index editor. So I'm going to click on this, and you will see that this word has now been added, and I can add index entry for this particular word as well. So this is another way using which you can add words to the index editor. I'm going to delete this. Let's include a few other terms. So we can just keep going like this and say Australia. We can add bill. We can add another entry and we can call it Canterbury, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and save and close and rebuild our index using this icon, or going to Tools, Index, and Create Index, and say yes. And you will see that all these have been included in the index, and these are alphabetically sorted. So let's head back to our index editor and see a few more tricks. So let's say we want to add another entry, and this entry is Mercia. And then go ahead and add another entry. And this entry is Northumbria. So if we want to group certain words in a category, we can do something like this. We can say kingdoms followed by a forward slash. And what this is going to do is to put Mercia under the entry of kingdoms. So we can come here and do the same for Northumbria and then a forward slash. So we can group index words under a word or a category, and this is how it's going to appear in the index. Let's see how this really manifests on the index. So go ahead and click on Save, Close, and we will rebuild our index, and then go ahead and click on Yes. So the index is rebuilt, and you will now see that we are seeing Mercia and Northumbria not as independent entries in the index, but under kingdoms. And we can go ahead and keep classifying these. Say, for example, we can come here and say northern, and then another forward slash. And then we can come here and say central, and then another forward slash, and then save. So this grouping will then be further refined, and we are going to recreate this index. Then go ahead and click on yes. So you can see that you can group index words this way if you wanted to, by just opening the index editor and creating a group using forward slashes. So coming back to this word again, cat, you will see that only those words have been included here that are having all small cap letters, CAT. If we wanted to fix this, we can use the same technique that we have used for mouse. We can come here and put in a square bracket, capital C, small c, and then close the square bracket, save and close, and then recreate this index once again. So you'll see more entries for cat here. Let's open the index editor once again, and let's look at another case. If you want to make a search term completely case insensitive, you can use the regular expression starting with a round bracket followed by a question mark followed by the letter I, small letter I. Close this round bracket. So that is a round bracket, question mark, small letter I, close the round bracket, and then type in the word cat. Now, irrespective of how this word appears in the text of this book, it's going to pick up all instances of cat, whether written in small caps or mixed case or capital C. Everything will be picked up and will be listed under CAT in the index. You can then save it, close it, and then recreate this index. And you can now be sure that cat appearing in any case is listed here. Now, if you're wondering what these patterns are, these are regular expressions. And let me explain this such that the concept becomes clear. So what I have in the box here, test string, are a few words for demonstration. For example, Alice written in small caps, followed by color, which has a C capital, all other letters are small caps. Then followed once again with Alice with a capital A, This is all capitals Alice. These two words are mixed cap Alice. Then we have one word that is color, and this is different from this color because this is the American spelling for color and this is the British spelling for color. Then we have mouse, first letter capital, second mouse has the first letter small caps. Then again we have two more words. One is digitize as written in American English and once again digitize as spelled in British English. So let's type in an expression here. So if I was to come here and type in MOUSE and notice that the first letter is small caps, you will see that it's just picked up or searched or found only mouse that is exactly the same as what has been written here, but it has left out the first mouse which has a capital M. So any term that you are putting in the text to include column is case sensitive, and this is actually the word that you are searching for. Now, how do we get this mouse and this mouse included in our search? So you can just come here, put a square bracket, capital M followed by small m, and then we'll close the square bracket like this. And you will see that by entering this pattern or this expression or this regex, we have found both versions of mouse, one with a capital M and one with a small m. Let's come back here and see the same for Alice. So if I was to come here and type in Alice, you'll see only one Alice that has been picked up, exactly the same as I have entered. But if I wanted to pick up all Alices, that is, search for all occurrences of Alices which are case insensitive, I can come here and then put a round bracket, then followed by question mark, followed by a small I, the letter I, and then close the bracket. So you will see that by putting this term or this pattern, a question mark and a small I in front of Alice, captured all versions of Alice. So this is an interesting pattern to remember also, which will make the search for the word case insensitive. So let's now look at a third regex that can actually be useful while you are creating an index. So we can come here and just type in COLOR, but somewhere down in our text, we also have the word color spelled in British English. But when we are looking for this word, we are only getting this in our index and leaving this out. So what we can do is we can just come here and say COLOUR, but just ahead of U, we can put a question mark. So this question mark, what it does is it's just basically telling the search that the letter U, the one that is just preceding the question mark, is optional. If it is there, include it. If it's not there, ignore it. So because of this, it's now got both the colors, and this can be useful. It's got this as well as this. And finally, there can be a situation where you have a word that has been spelled like digitize with a Z or digitize with a S. And what you can do is you can say DIGITIZE. This captures only one and it's leaving out the other. But what you can do is if you can just remove the letter Z and put a dot, a decimal point, you will see that both these words have actually been captured. So by putting a dot in place of a letter, you are basically telling the search that you really don't care what letter is here. It can be Z, it can be S. And of course, you have to be careful because it can be anything else as well. So whenever you are using this dot, you have to be absolutely sure that no other word would fit this particular replacement. So these are some common regex patterns that we can use while we are creating index. This is, of course, a much more complicated subject, the subject of regular expressions. But if you can remember these 4 patterns, I think they'll be really very helpful when you are trying to create an index in Sigil. So let's head back to Sigil and complete our index. There's one other point that I would like to mention, that if you add an entry, don't include anything here and type in something here. Let's say, for example, turtle, and then just go ahead and click on save and close and then rebuild your index. You will see that that word is not included in the index, because it was never searched. There could be another case. I'm looking for something like tiger and save and close and then recreate this index. So you will see that tiger is not included here for the simple reason that while we search for it, this word does not appear in this text at all. So if you search for a word and if Sigil does not find it in your text, that word obviously will not be included in the index. You can delete any term by just selecting that row and pressing delete, and it will just go ahead. You can delete all these words in a group. Just drag and select and press delete, or right click. You will have a context menu. You can go ahead and click on delete, and all these words will get deleted. Now, entering index words manually can be one way of creating an index, but there is a better way to do this, probably more systematic. And let me just show this to you. So I'm going to come here and select all of these, right click and delete and save. So I have emptied my index editor of any words that I have created so far. I'm also going to come here and delete this file and then just go ahead and click on it. So I now don't have an index. Now what I can do is, as I'm writing my ebook, I can open a text editor like Notepad and keep recording my words in this particular pattern, text to include and index entries. So I've opened a text editor here like Notepad, and then I can keep recording my words as I keep typing my ebook or report. So let us say, for example, I can type in Australia, enter. I can type in Bill. I can type in Dodo. I can type in Canterbury. So as I'm writing, I'm recording all these words. You will notice that every index entry is on a separate line, but we have not entered anything for the next column. So say, for example, if I'm writing here and I want to include something for my index entries column. So what I can do is I can just come here and press tab. This is very important. Just press the tab button on your keyboard and then write here, comma, March here. So whatever you want to appear on the index, you have to just separate this by a tab. The first and the second column are separated by pressing tab. This is very, very important. So in effect, as you can see, the first entry is coming under text to include. And if you want to include a second entry, you have to separate it by pressing tab and then entering whatever you have to enter here. And that will be included in the index entries, just like you were entering manually. But the important thing is that you have to make sure that you are separating these two columns by hitting tab. Let us enter, say, Mercia, tab, kingdoms, / enter, Northumbria, tab, kingdoms, / So we are doing exactly the same thing, but we are just simply collecting all these index words in a file as we keep writing our ebook. This can obviously also happen after you have written your book. You can just simply go through your book chapter by chapter and keep recording all these index words. You can also include any regular expressions like we have done before, then tab and make sure that you enter the correct word that will appear in the index. We can also include case insensitive, cat, tab, and then type in cat, and so on and so forth. So you can include any number of words here and then just go ahead and save it. So what I have done is I have already gone through Alice in Wonderland and created a list of words that are of interest, and I have saved it in a file called as AW index. So once I have this file, what I can now do is to open my index editor, tool, index, and then index editor. And instead of typing these words manually, I can right click and then click on open, and then just go ahead and choose this file and click on open once again. So you will see all these words have now been entered inside our index editor, just as if we would have entered them manually. And we can then just go ahead and click on save, close, and then go ahead and create our index. And you will see that this entire index has now been recreated. If we ever wanted to add more words, all we need to do is to just open that file and keep adding those words inside that file. Or otherwise, we can also directly add words here using this add entry button. So this is a really convenient way of creating an index. Just put them inside a text file, and you can keep adding words as you progress. So I just want to mention that this is alphabetically sorted, and each of these links is clickable. Now, just before we close, we need to do some important things. We need to come and recreate our table of contents. So just come to Tools, just click on Table of Contents and edit Table of Contents. You will see that currently the table of contents does not include index, even though we have created that index. So I'm going to come here and click on this last entry or any other entry under which I want the index to appear. Let's just click on the last chapter, and I'm going to say add below. And in this column, TOC entry, double click and type in index, then double click on the next column. So you will see a blinking cursor and a small box, and then just come here and click on select target. So you will see all these files. Scroll down and you will see your index.xhtml file. Click on that and press OK. So you can now see that the index has been included in the table of contents. You can just go ahead and click on OK. There's one final thing that we can do, and we can come to Tools and we can come to EPUB3 Tools. If this is a EPUB3 file, you can come here and generate a guide for EPUB2 readers. So if this book is opened in an old EPUB reader, which can only read EPUB2, this book will become compatible for that. So we can do that, and it will come back and tell you that it has been generated. And we are all sorted out. We've created an index. We have updated the TOC. Just go ahead and save this. And now we can go ahead and try to read this in an EPUB reader like we did at the start of this video. So this is our saved file, and I'm going to open this in Sumatra PDF. So you will now see that this has an index. And when you click on it, you can see that index, and then you can click on a word and it'll take you to that particular word. So let me open this ebook in another ebook reader called as Throrium. And I've provided a link to this ebook reader in the description below. This is a dedicated ebook reader. This is completely free and open source, and it can read EPUB3 books. So we will come here and pick this up and drop it here. And so you can see that it has been imported inside. Let's enlarge this, and I'm going to double click on it. And you can now see that I have this book. I can move forward. And if I click on this navigation button here and click on table of contents, you will see that I have an index right here. So I can reach any page, open the table of contents once again. I can reach any chapter, and we can open table of contents and reach index and go to any particular word. This is clickable. So click on it, and it will show you using a small box which appears for a fraction of a second where that particular word can be found. So you can see that here, table of contents, index, and particular word. So you can see this small box, it's showing you this particular word right here. The box vanishes away after a little time. So this is how you can create a simple index in Sigil. If you want to do anything more complicated, what you can do is you can just open the index.xhtml file, and if you have knowledge of HTML, you can directly type in HTML here, which will be reflected. Just make sure that if you recreate this index, all those changes that you have added to index.xhtml, they will be lost. Also, if you want to change the styling of the index, you can open styles, and all the styling for the index is coming through this CSS file, which you can open and make changes to, and the index can be styled in a custom way. So this is how you can create a simple index with clickable entries inside Sigil. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks a lot for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.